Hey everyone, hope you're all well. Welcome back to our channel where we dive into the exciting world of web development tech and technologies. In today's video, however, we are going to go over the web development ethics and your own kind of responsibilities and sustainable practices whenever you are developing and putting out content on the internet for everyone to use and see. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell for more updates on our channel. We're always uploading new website content, so if you're interested in keeping up, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So what is actually meant by web development ethics? Web development ethics are essentially a set of principles and guidelines that web developers should follow to create websites and web applications that are fair, responsible, and beneficial to society. It's about considering the social, economic, and environmental impact of our work and making decisions that are in the best interests of our users, the public, and ourselves. So here are some examples of web development ethics. First up, we have privacy and security. So web developers should respect users' privacy and security by using secure protocols, encrypting sensitive data like credit card information, and giving users control over their personal information as well. Web developers should make their websites and web applications accessible to everyone, including people with disabilities. This means using accessible design principles and technologies and ensuring that there are alternatives to non-accessible content. And web developers should consider the environmental impact of their work and strive to create sustainable websites and web applications. This means using energy-efficient code, optimizing images, and choosing green hosting providers. Web developers should also be socially responsible and avoid creating websites and applications that promote any kind of hate speech, violence, or discrimination. Web development ethics is really important because the web is a really powerful tool and it can be used for good or for bad. By following ethical principles, developers can create a more positive and inclusive online experience for everyone. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the ethics previously mentioned. The first one is privacy and security. Privacy and security are the two most important ethical considerations in web development. Web developers have a responsibility to protect users and personal information and keep it safe from unauthorized access, disclosure, or use. There are a number of things that developers can do to protect users' privacy and security. First up is using HTTPS. So HTTPS is a secure communication protocol that encrypts all traffic between the user's browser and the website. This makes it a lot more difficult for attackers to intercept and steal user data. Web developers should implement strong authentication mechanisms to prevent unauthorized access to user accounts. This can be things like two-factor authentication, which requires users to provide two pieces of evidence of their identity. So most common one is password, and then maybe a code sent from the phone in order to log in. Web developers should encrypt all sensitive data, such as passwords, credit card numbers, and social security numbers, and this makes it unreadable to anyone who does not have the encryption key. And web developers should give users control over their personal information, including the ability to opt out of data collection and tracking. This can be done through privacy settings and preferences that users should be able to easily adjust. And web developers should regularly patch security vulnerabilities in their software. This helps to prevent attackers and exploiting these vulnerabilities to gain access to user data or systems. It's also really important for users and developers to be transparent to the users about how their personal information is being collected and used. This is usually done through clear and concise privacy policies that should be made available on your website. And developers should also be responsive to user concerns about privacy and security. By taking these steps, developers can help to protect user privacy and security and build trust with their users as well. When it comes to when you have users of information, you want to avoid using third-party tracking cookies and other technologies that collect user data but without their consent. Do not sell user data to third parties without their consent. Be careful about what personal information you collect and store, and destroy the data whenever it's no longer needed. By following these tips, every web developer can help create a more secure and privacy-respecting web for everyone. So let's talk about accessibility, and accessibility is the practice of making websites and web applications usable by everyone, including people with disabilities. It's an ethical consideration for web developers because everyone deserves to have equal access to the web. There are a number of things that developers can do to make their websites and web applications more accessible, including using accessible design principles, This is things like using high contrast colors, providing alternative text, and making sure that all content can be accessed using a keyboard. There are a number of accessible technologies available, like ARIA roles and landmarks. Web developers should use these technologies to make their content more accessible to assistive tech and screen readers. And developers should test their websites and web applications for accessibility using a variety of tools and methods. This can help identify and fix any accessibility issues. By taking these steps, web developers can help make the web more accessible to everyone. So now let's take a look at some of the accessibility tools and platforms that you can use to help make the web more accessible. So what is website accessibility? Website accessibility refers to the inclusive design and development of websites and web content so that people with disabilities can perceive, understand, navigate, and interact with them effectively. The goal of website accessibility is to ensure that all users, regardless of their abilities, can access and use websites without facing barriers or limitations. When a website is accessible, it accommodates a wide range of disabilities, including visual, auditory, motor, and cognitive impairments. Some examples of disabilities that website accessibility addresses are visual impairments. So people who are blind or have low vision may use screen readers or other assistive technologies to navigate the website. Website accessibility ensures that all information is presented in a way that can be understood audibly or through alternative formats like Braille. Deaf or hard of hearing users may also rely on captions or transcripts for multimedia content. Accessible websites provide these alternatives to ensure equal access to audio information. Users with motor impairments might navigate websites using specialized keyboards or other adaptive devices. An accessible website should be navigable without requiring precise mouse movements or rapid keystrokes. People with cognitive challenges may benefit from simplified language, clear headings, and consistent navigation to comprehend and interact with content effectively. And individuals with conditions like epilepsy may be sensitive to certain visual or auditory stimuli, and accessibility guidelines aim to minimize potential triggers. Website accessibility is not only a moral imperative to create a more inclusive digital environment, but it's also mandated by laws and regulations in many countries. For example, in the US, the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, and the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, so the WCAG, provide standards and guidelines for website accessibility. Web developers can follow these guidelines and use various accessibility testing tools to ensure that their websites meet the required necessary criteria, making the internet a more accessible and equitable space for all users. So let's talk a little bit about the WCAG. As mentioned before, the WCAG essentially provide a comprehensive set of guidelines for making digital content accessible to people with disabilities. These guidelines are organized into 4 main principles, each with its own set of success criteria. First up, we have that the content should be perceivable. So this is things like providing text alternatives for non-text content, i.e. images, providing captions and other alternatives for multimedia, create content that can be presented in different ways without losing information, make text content readable and understandable. You also want to make sure that content is operable, and by this it means making sure all functionality is available from a keyboard, provide users enough time to read and use content, don't use content that causes seizures or physical discomfort, and provide ways to navigate, find content, and determine where they are. It's also important for content to be understandable, and that means making sure that the text content is readable and understandable, making sure web pages appear and operate in predictable ways, and help users avoid and correct mistakes. And lastly, the content must be robust. So essentially you want to maximize compatibility with current and future user agents and trends, including assistive technologies. Within each of these principles, there are specific success criteria that provide detailed guidelines for making content accessible. Some examples of these criteria include ensuring that images have descriptive alt text, providing captions and transcripts for videos, using sufficient color contrast for text and background, ensuring that all functionality can be accessed using a keyboard, and providing clear, consistent headings for content structure. These are just a few examples, and there are many more success criteria under each principle. The WCAG guidelines are designed to be adaptable to different technologies and are meant to provide a comprehensive framework for ensuring digital accessibility for people with disabilities. It's important to note that the WCAG has different levels of conformance. There's A, which is the lowest conformance, AA, intermediate, and AAA, which is the highest. A lot of organizations aim to achieve at least level AA conformance to provide a more inclusive online experience, but achieving level AAA conformance can be challenging and may not be feasible in all cases. So how can we check a website for accessibility? It involves a combination of automated testing, manual evaluation, and user feedback. So here are some steps that we can take to assess a website's accessibility. First up is automated testing. So using online tools and checkers to automatically scan the website for common accessibility issues. Some popular tools include Wave Web Accessibility Evaluation Tool, Axe Accessibility Testing Tools, and A-Checker. These tools provide reports highlighting potential accessibility structures like missing text, improper heading structure, and color contrast problems as well. However, automated tools may not catch all the issues, so manual testing is always essential. Next thing that you want to do is familiar yourself with WCAG guidelines. So get acquainted with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines and their success criteria, and this will help you understand what constitutes good accessibility. Aim for at least level AA conformance, provide a solid baseline of accessibility, and if you can, where possible, you aim for AAA conformance. It's always good to perform manual evaluation on various aspects of your website using the WCAG guidelines as a reference. This involves testing keyboard navigations, headings, links, forms, and multimedia elements. Ensure images have descriptive alt text that conveys the purpose and content, and verify that color contrast meets accessibility and standards to make text readable for all users. Confirm that interactive elements are operable with the keyboard, and manually perform these checks as much as possible. It's also good to test with assistive technologies, screen readers like NVDA or VoiceOver, and other assistive tech to experience your website from the perspective of users with disabilities. You want to pay attention to how these technologies interpret your content and interact with your site's features. It's also good to engage real users with disabilities, so essentially invite individuals with disabilities to test your website and provide feedback on their experience. Their insights can really uncover usability issues and accessibility barriers that you might not have identified. You also want to prioritize user experience. So accessibility is about creating an inclusive user experience. Ensure that your website is not just technically accessible, but also intuitive and user-friendly for all types of visitors. Accessibility is an ongoing commitment, so regularly test and update your website for new content and features to maintain its accessibility. Any issues that come up, you want to address them promptly and keep improving your site's accessibility over time. If you have a development team, educate them about accessibility best practices. Encourage them to follow accessible coding techniques during development as well. Keep track of the accessibility improvements you've made and the issues you've addressed. This documentation can be useful for future reference and audits. And lastly, stay informed. Keep up to date with changes in accessibility guidelines, standards, and best practices to ensure your website remains compliant. Remember that achieving good accessibility is an ongoing process that requires dedication, continuous learning, and a user-centered approach. By combining automated tools, manual testing, user feedback, and a commitment to improvement, you can create a website that is accessible and usable for everyone. So let's look at some online tools that we can use. There are several online tools available that can help you evaluate the accessibility of your website. Some popular options include, first up you have the Wave Web Accessibility Evaluation Tool. Wave is a widely used tool that provides both browser extensions and an online version as well. It highlights accessibility errors and suggests improvements in real time as you navigate your website. Wave helps website owners, developers, and content creators identify accessibility issues within their web content and provides guidelines on how to fix those. Some key features include real-time feedback. So Wave offers real-time feedback on accessibility issues as you navigate your website. This allows you to see accessibility errors and improvements while interacting with your content as well. They also have browser extensions, which you can see here, They have browser extensions for Chrome, Firefox, and Edge, and they're all available for testing accessibility directly within your browser, making it easy to test any web page that you visit. In addition to browser extensions, Wave also offers an online testing tool, and all you need to do is just enter the URL up here, and then from there Wave will generate a detailed report that highlights accessibility issues in a clear and understanding manner. Each issue is marked with sort of like icons that provides more information about the problem and how to address it as well, and is all condensed down into this little kind of report as well. The tool uses icons and visual indicators to show different types of issues, like missing alt text or any redundant title text, things like that. And it also provides explanations and suggestions for how to fixing them. Using the little I, it tells you what it means, why it matters, what to do about it, and any standards and guidelines for, if there are any, for that specific problem as well. Wave can simulate keyboard navigation to help you evaluate whether your website can be fully operated using keyboard inputs, and it also supports multiple languages as well, making it accessible to users from around the world. Wave is a really good tool, and it is widely regarded as a user-friendly and reliable tool for conducting initial web accessibility assessments. It's important to note that while automated testing tools like Wave can catch a lot of common accessibility issues, manual testing and user feedback are also essential for a comprehensive evaluation. So next up we have Axe. So Axe accessibility testing tools has developed by Systems, and is a set of tools designed to help developers and testers identify and address accessibility issues on their websites and web applications. Axe provides automated testing solutions that integrate into various development environments and browsers, allowing for efficient and thorough accessibility testing. Some key features of Axe accessibility testing tools include browser extensions. So similar to Wave, Axe does offer browser extensions for Chrome, Mozilla, Firefox, Edge, and a lot more as well. So it's really easy to analyze web pages and receive instant accessibility feedback within your browser. It can also be integrated into various development environments as well, and then it makes it easier to incorporate accessibility testing into your development workflow. Axe also provides a command line interface that allows you to perform automated accessibility scans from your terminal. And this is particularly useful for integrating accessibility testing into your continuous integration and continuous deployment of the CI/CD pipeline. They also have web app testing. So the Axe core library can be integrated directly into your web applications, allowing you to perform accessibility checks programmatically during development. And Axe automatically scans your web pages and identifies accessibility issues based on the selected rules. It then provides that detailed report of issues, including explanations and suggestions for remedies as well. The tool categorizes issues like violations, incomplete, or pass, helping you prioritize and address accessibility issues really effectively. And Axe provides detailed reports that highlight each accessibility violation along with suggestions for fixing them. The report includes information about the rule that was violated, the affected element, and the steps to take for a resolution. Axe offers guidance and educational resources to help you understand the issues and improve your understanding of web accessibility. Axe accessibility testing tools are popular among developers and testing for their flexibility, integration options, and focus on providing actionable insights for improving a website's accessibility. And lastly, another really popular tool is A-Checker. So A-Checker, Accessibility Checker, is an online accessibility testing tool that helps evaluate the accessibility of web pages and digital content according to various accessibility standards, including Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, the WCAG, and other international guidelines. A-Checker is widely used by developers, content creators, and organizations to help identify and rectify accessibility issues on their website and online problems. Some key features include web-based testing. So A-Checker is available as an online tool, allowing you to test web pages and digital content directly from your browser without the need for installation. They also have multiple scanning options. So A-Checker offers different scanning options, including by URL, by HTML files, or by directly entering the HTML code. And that type of flexibility allows you to test various types of content. A-Checker supports accessibility standards and guidelines such as the WCAG 2.0 and 2.1, the BITV Section 508, and more. You can choose the specific standard that you want to test against. The tool also incorporates a wide range of accessibility rules and checks based on the selected standards, and these rules cover different aspects of accessibility, including text alternatives, keyboard navigations, color contrast, and lots more. Unlike the previous web checkers we've seen, A-Checker also generates detailed accessibility reports that highlights issues and provides suggestions for remedies, and these reports include explanations of the issues, the severity, and the recommendations for fixing them. A-Checker allows you to customize the rules and checks applied during the evaluation, enabling you to focus on specific aspects of accessibility relevant to your project. The tool offers different views of the evaluation results, including a summary view, a detailed view, and a view that highlights the affected areas within the HTML code. A-Checker provides resources and information to help users understand the accessibility issues and make informed decisions about remediation. A-Checker is known for its user-friendly interface and its ability to provide valuable insights into the accessibility web content. It's particularly useful for quick evaluations and preliminary access checks, and you can access A-Checker on its official website as well. So now let's talk about sustainability. And sustainability in web development is about creating websites and web applications that have a minimal environmental impact. This is really important because the web is a major contributor to climate change. There are a number of things developers can do, and one of those things is using efficient code. So essentially using code that minimizes the amount of energy and resources to run their websites and web application. This also includes optimizing images to reduce their file size. This will help make them load faster and use less bandwidth. Web developers can choose a hosting provider that uses renewable energy and other sustainable practices. And third-party scripts can add to the environmental impact of a website, so developers should only use third-party scripts that are essential to the actual functionality of the website. Additional tips that you can do is things like avoid adding unnecessary animations and videos, use a CDN to deliver static content from servers that are closer, use a caching plugin to reduce the number of database queries that your website makes, and monitor the energy consumption of your website, and make changes to reduce it as needed. Sustainability is a really important ethical consideration for web developers because we all have a responsibility to protect the environment. So by taking steps to make your website more sustainable, web developers can reduce the number of web development impact and create a better future for everyone, really. And lastly, let's talk about social responsibility. Social responsibility in web development is about using your skills and knowledge to create more of a positive and inclusive online experience for everyone. And this means avoiding creating websites and applications that promote discrimination, hate speech, violence. It also means using platforms to promote diversity and inclusion as well. Things like avoiding dark patterns, essentially design tricks that tricks the user into things that they don't want to do, like signing up for newsletter or sharing personal information. Web developers should avoid using dark patterns in their designs. They should also design websites and web applications to be inclusive of users, regardless of their race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or disability. This means using accessible design principles like technologies and avoiding stereotypes and harmful languages. And developers can use their platforms to promote social justice and raise awareness of important issues. This can be done by creating websites or web applications that support social causes, or by using their blogs and social media accounts to speak out about important issues. You should always be mindful of the impact of your work on society. Avoid creating websites and applications that could be harmful or discriminatory. Use your platform to promote diversity, and be accountable for your actions and be willing to learn from your mistakes. It's a really important ethical consideration for web developers to be socially responsible, because we all have a role to play in creating a more just and equitable world. So by following the tips above, web developers can help make the web a more positive and inclusive space for everyone. And that's a wrap on our video on accessibility and social responsibility, and in general ethics by web developers as well. I hope you find the video interesting, and if you have any questions or concerns or any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. We love hearing from you. And again, for more updates on our latest tips in web technologies and trends, hit that notification bell to stay updated. And until then, see you in the next one.